Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. The wedding was 26 days away when Stacy ended our engagement with a text. I was sitting at the kitchen table in our house in Seattle looking over the final guest list when my phone buzzed. I expected another message from the florist or my brother. It was Stacy. I opened it. I found someone else. I want nothing more to do with you. I read it twice. Then I put my phone down. We had been together for 4 years and engaged for 8 months. The wedding invitations were already out. The venue was booked. My suit was hanging in the closet. Her dress had been fitted twice, and now she had decided that a text message was enough to erase all of it. I didn't call her. I didn't ask who Brian was. I didn't ask what I had done wrong. I picked up my phone and called the wedding venue. Harbor Point Events, a woman answered. This is Paul. The wedding scheduled for September 22nd under Paul and Stacy. I need to cancel it. There was a pause. Are you sure? You're less than a month away. Yes, cancel everything. I spent the next hour doing the same with the photographer, caterer, transportation company, and hotel block. Every time someone asked whether Stacy had approved the cancellation, I gave the same answer. The engagement is over. I'm handling my side of it. By noon, the wedding was gone. Then I opened our joint wedding account. There was less money in it than I expected. I checked the transactions. 3 large withdrawals had been made during the previous week. The descriptions were vague, but the amounts were not. $2,400, $1,850, $3,100. I called the bank. Those transfers were authorized by Stacy, the representative told me. Where did they go? 2 went to a personal account. The third went to a credit card payment. I stared at the screen. That wasn't wedding spending. I knew because I had paid most of the wedding deposits myself. Then my phone rang. It was Stacy. I answered. What? I said. Her voice was sharp. You canceled the wedding? Yes. You weren't supposed to do that. I leaned back in my chair. You told me you found someone else. I was angry. You said you wanted nothing more to do with me. Silence. Then she said, Paul, we need to talk. I looked at the 3 withdrawals on my screen. No, I said. I think I already know enough. Then I ended the call. Stacy called me 6 more times that afternoon. I ignored every call. By 6, I was home, and she was standing outside the front door. I opened it, but didn't step aside. You're really going to do this? She asked. You're the one who ended the engagement. I told you I was angry. You told me you found someone else. Her expression tightened. I didn't think you'd actually cancel everything. That was the part you didn't understand. What? When you told me you wanted nothing more to do with me, I believed you. She stared at me. I thought you'd at least fight for us. You found another man, Stacy. What exactly was I supposed to fight for? She looked away. His name is Brian. I already knew. I had figured that much from the way she avoided answering my questions. How long? She hesitated. It's complicated. No, it's not. She crossed her arms. We've been talking. For how long? A few weeks. I laughed once. The wedding is 26 days away. I didn't plan for this to happen. You planned enough to tell me you found someone. She stepped closer. Brian understands me. Then you should be with Brian. Her face changed. You're making this sound so simple. You made it simple. She looked toward the living room. So what happens now? You move out. Her eyes widened. Paul, this is my home too. You're right, and I'm not throwing you out tonight. But we're separating everything. You have until Saturday to collect your things. Saturday? Yes. You're serious? Completely. She stood there for several seconds. Then she said quietly, What about the wedding money? I looked at her. What about it? Some of it is mine. Half of the account was yours. The withdrawals are different. Her expression froze. You checked? Of course I checked. I needed money. For what? She didn't answer. I pulled up the transactions on my phone. 3 transfers, over $7,000. None of them went toward the wedding. She stepped backward. I was going to put it back. Where did it go? Paul, please. Where? She looked at me for a moment, then said, Brian had some problems. That was the first time she admitted it. Not the affair, not the lies, but the fact that money from our wedding account had already been used for another man. I nodded slowly. Now I understand why you didn't want me looking too closely. Stacy's voice dropped. You're going to regret treating me like this. I opened the door wider. No, Stacy, I'm going to regret not doing it sooner. She grabbed her purse and walked away. I watched her reach her car. Before she drove off, her phone lit up. She looked at it and smiled. I didn't need to see the name. I already knew. Brian. The next morning, I went through every account Stacy and I had shared. I wasn't looking for revenge. I wanted everything separated cleanly. The wedding account was the first problem. I called the bank and removed my authorization from any new withdrawals while my attorney reviewed the account. Then I called my friend Daniel, who had handled the paperwork for our house purchase. "You're ending the engagement?" he asked. "Yes." "Do you need help with the house?" "Not yet. I need to know exactly what belongs to whom." Daniel came over that evening. We went through the statements together. That was when we found another payment. A $1,200 transfer had gone to a company called Westlake Fitness. I recognized the name. Stacy had started going there 2 months earlier. "Personal training?" Daniel asked. "Apparently." I called the number on the statement. A receptionist answered. "Westlake Fitness. I'm calling about Stacy." "Stacy Reynolds?" "Yes. I need to confirm something regarding a payment." She checked the account. "That was for a personal training package." "Who was the trainer?" There was a pause. "Brian." I didn't say anything. Daniel looked at me. "You know him?" "No." But I knew exactly who he was. The man Stacy had supposedly discovered only recently had been taking payments from an account connected to our wedding. I thanked the receptionist and ended the call. Daniel leaned back. "How long have you known?" "About the relationship?" He nodded. "Yesterday." He shook his head. "Paul, this is worse than you think." "I know." The next morning, I met my attorney, Laura Bennett. I gave her the bank statements, the messages, and the wedding contracts. She looked through everything carefully. "Don't contact Brian," she said. "I wasn't planning to." "Good. Let Stacy explain herself if she wants to." "She already did." "What did she say?" "That Brian had problems." Laura looked up. "And she used your wedding money to help him?" "Yes." "Then document everything. Don't threaten her. Don't accuse her of crimes unless we have evidence. Just keep records." I nodded. That afternoon, Stacy came back for clothes. She walked into the house as if nothing had changed. Then she saw the dining table covered with folders. "What is all that?" "Your financial history with me." She stopped. "You're keeping records?" "Yes." "For what?" "In case you decide later that you remember things differently." Her face hardened. "You don't trust me anymore?" I looked directly at her. "No!" For once, she had nothing to say. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Brian. She rejected the call. That told me something I hadn't expected. For the first time, I wondered whether Brian wasn't the person she thought he was either. 3 days later, Stacy moved into a short-term apartment. She took most of her clothes, some furniture, and the television from the spare bedroom. I didn't argue over any of it. If she could prove something belonged to her, she took it. That evening, Laura called me. "Paul, I found something you should know." "What?" "Stacy's attorney contacted me." I sat down. "What does she want?" "She says you're withholding money from the wedding account." "I haven't touched her half." "I know. I sent her the statements." "And?" "She changed her position." I almost laughed. "What does that mean?" "She now claims some of the money you paid toward the wedding was actually a shared expense, and that she expects reimbursement." I looked at the folders on my desk. "She ended the engagement." "I know." "She moved in with another man." "I know that too." "And she expects me to reimburse her for a wedding she canceled?" Laura was quiet for a moment. "That's what she's claiming." "Then send her the contracts." "I already did." The next afternoon, Stacy showed up at my house. She didn't knock. She had the old key. I opened the door before she could walk farther inside. "You need to give me that key," I said. She held it between 2 fingers. "I came for my jewelry." "You can get it." She walked toward the bedroom, then stopped. "Your lawyer is being unreasonable." "My lawyer is doing her job." "You can't just keep everything." "I'm not keeping anything that's yours." She turned around. "You're acting like I betrayed you." I stared at her. "You told me you found another man." "That doesn't mean I betrayed you." "You were paying Brian with our wedding money." Her face went pale. "I told you he needed help. You've known him for weeks. He had financial problems. So you used money meant for our wedding to help him." She looked down. "It wasn't like that." "Then explain it." She couldn't. After a few seconds, she said, "Brian promised he would pay me back." "Did he?" She didn't answer. I already had my answer. Then her phone rang. She looked at it. This time she answered. Hello? Her expression changed almost immediately. What do you mean you're not coming? I watched her face tighten. You said Friday. She listened. No, Brian. You can't do that. She ended the call. I didn't ask. She looked at me and said quietly, I need the jewelry. Take it. She grabbed the box from the bedroom and walked out. Before she reached the driveway, I heard her phone ring again. She ignored it. For the first time, Stacy looked less like someone who had chosen a new life and more like someone who had just discovered that the new life wasn't waiting for her. The following week, I stopped hearing from Stacy. That silence didn't last. On Monday morning, Laura called me. Paul, Stacy's attorney sent another letter. What now? She wants the wedding deposits transferred to her. I frowned. Why? She says she needs the money to cover expenses because the wedding was canceled. I laughed. She ended the engagement. I know. And she wants the deposits from a wedding she told me she didn't want? That's the argument. Then reject it. I already did. There was another pause. There's something else. What? Stacy is claiming you abandoned her financially after the engagement ended. I leaned back in my chair. She lives in an apartment she rented herself. She has her own job. What exactly was I supposed to finance? She says you had agreed to help with her expenses after the wedding. That agreement doesn't exist. Then we're fine. I thought the matter was finished. It wasn't. That evening, Daniel called me. You're going to want to hear this. What happened? Stacy's telling people you canceled the wedding because you were jealous of Brian. I shook my head. Who told you that? My sister heard it from one of Stacy's friends. I wasn't surprised. What else? She says you were controlling her money. I looked at the financial statements on my desk. That should be easy to disprove. It gets worse. What? She told people you knew about Brian and approved of their friendship. That one made me sit up. She actually said that? Yes. I called Laura immediately. Don't respond publicly, she said. I wasn't planning to. Good. Let her talk. The next day, something unexpected happened. The manager of our wedding venue called me. Paul, I'm sorry to bother you, but Stacy came here yesterday. What did she want? She asked us to reinstate the wedding. I was silent. Did she explain why? She said the cancellation was a misunderstanding and that you were going through an emotional episode. I almost laughed. Did she pay anything? No, she asked us to hold the date until Friday. Don't hold anything. We won't. After I hung up, I looked at the calendar. The wedding date was still 20 days away. Stacy had ended our engagement. Then she demanded the money. Then she told people I abandoned her. And now she was trying to get the wedding date back. She wasn't trying to fix our relationship. She was trying to recover the future she thought she had lost. That was when I decided I would stop reacting to Stacy's moves. From that point on, I would make sure she had no move left to make. 2 days later, Laura called again. You were right to keep everything, she said. What happened? The venue sent me their records. She explained that Stacy had tried to tell the venue that I had canceled the wedding without her approval. But the venue still had my cancellation call, including the date and time. Then Laura sent me something else, a copy of an email Stacy had sent to several vendors. She had claimed that I had become unstable after discovering her friendship with Brian and had canceled the wedding as punishment. The vendors weren't buying it. One of them had forwarded the email to Laura because Stacy was asking for refunds while blaming me for the cancellation. Laura said, I want you to send me every message Stacy ever sent you about the wedding. I have them. Good. Don't delete anything. I sent her the entire conversation. There was one message from Stacy 3 weeks before the breakup that changed everything. She had written that she was excited about our future and couldn't wait to become my wife. Then, less than a month later, she told me she had found someone else. The timeline spoke for itself. That evening, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Brian. I think we need to talk, he said. You're right about one thing. We do. I didn't know she was still engaged when we started seeing each other. I stayed quiet. She told me you two were basically finished. When did she tell you that? About 6 weeks ago. I looked at the calendar. That was almost exactly when Stacy had started going to the gym regularly. So you knew she was engaged? Yeah. And you still continued? He hesitated. I thought she was leaving you. She did leave me. I know. She just didn't tell you the whole story. Brian sighed. She told me you were paying for everything. I didn't answer. She said once the wedding was canceled, she'd have access to money from the account. That was the piece I needed. Not because I wanted revenge, because now I knew Stacy hadn't simply cheated. She had apparently been planning her exit while counting on money that didn't belong to her. Did she tell you she used wedding money for you? Brian went silent. She did? She said it was temporary. How much? I don't know. I ended the call after that. I sent the recording to Laura. She listened once. Then she said, "Now we have a very different situation." What do we do? Nothing dramatic. I smiled. That's fine. Because I wasn't interested in making a scene. I wanted Stacy to understand one thing. She had spent weeks planning her escape. I was simply making sure she couldn't escape the consequences with my money. A month later, Stacy's new relationship was over. I found that out from Daniel, who heard it from someone at the gym. Brian had moved out of the apartment Stacy had rented after leaving our house. According to Daniel, they had argued constantly about money. I wasn't surprised. Then Stacy came to my office. My receptionist called me. "Paul, there's a woman here asking for you." "Who?" "Stacy." I told her to send her in. Stacy walked through the door wearing a simple coat and carrying a folder. She sat across from me. "I didn't come here to fight," she said. "Then why are you here?" "I want to apologize." I waited. She opened the folder. "I was wrong about Brian. That doesn't involve me." "I know." She took a breath. "I thought I was unhappy because our relationship had become too predictable. Brian made everything feel exciting. And? He lied to me." I said nothing. "He told me he was going to start a business. He never did. He borrowed money from me. Then he disappeared when I couldn't give him more." I leaned back. "So you chose badly." "Yes." "You also lied to me." Her eyes dropped. "Yes. You used our wedding money." "I know. You told people I was controlling." She looked up. I was angry. "That doesn't answer the question." "No," she said quietly. "I shouldn't have said those things." I nodded. She pushed the folder toward me. Inside was a letter. "I want to make things right." I opened it. It was an apology. At the bottom, she had written one sentence. "I still love you." I closed the folder. "Stacy, why are you really here?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I want another chance." I looked at her for a moment. "You ended our engagement by telling me you found someone else." "I know. You told me you wanted nothing more to do with me." "I know. You didn't ask for a break. You didn't ask for time. You ended it." "I was wrong." "Yes." She reached across the desk. "Paul, please. We were together for 4 years. And you threw those 4 years away." "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made several decisions." She pulled her hand back. "What would it take for you to forgive me?" "I already forgave you." Her expression changed. "Then why can't we try again?" "Because forgiveness doesn't mean access." She stared at me. I stood. Our wedding was canceled. Our relationship ended. That part of my life is finished. She looked at me for several seconds. Then she asked the question I knew was coming. "Is there someone else?" I shook my head. "No." "Then why not me?" I picked up the folder and handed it back. "Because I don't need someone else to leave you." She walked out without another word. 6 months after Stacy sent that message, I was sitting in the same kitchen where I had first read it. The wedding date had come and gone. There had been no ceremony, no guests, no photographs, and no explanation I needed to give anyone. I had moved forward. The house was mine again. The wedding account had been closed. Every shared expense had been settled through our attorneys. Stacy had paid back part of the money she had taken from the wedding account after Laura reached a formal agreement with her attorney. I never asked for anything beyond what was mine. Then, one Saturday morning, my phone rang. It was Laura. "Stacy's attorney called." I smiled. "What does she want now?" "She wants to know if you'd consider giving her another chance." I looked around the kitchen. "The answer hasn't changed." I assumed it hadn't. "Tell them we're finished." "I will." After we hung up, I opened my phone and found Stacy's old message. "I found someone else. I want nothing more to do with you." I remembered how quickly everything had changed after I read those words. At the time, Stacy thought she was taking control of my future. She thought I would chase her. She thought I would cancel nothing, keep paying for everything, and wait for her to decide whether Brian worked out. Instead, I had believed her. She said she wanted nothing more to do with me. So I gave her exactly that. No begging, no second chances, no wedding, no financial safety net, and eventually, no way back. That afternoon, I drove past Harbor Point Events. The old wedding date was still marked on the venue's calendar board outside the entrance. I stopped for a moment. Then I kept driving. I didn't feel angry anymore. The wedding wasn't something I had lost. It was something I had avoided. Stacy had given me the truth in one sentence. I just had to be strong enough to accept it. She once told me she had found someone else. Months later, she asked me to become the man she had left behind. I refused, not because I wanted her to suffer, because when someone tells you they don't want you in their life, you shouldn't convince them otherwise. You should believe them. And when Stacy finally learned that lesson, she learned it without me. That was the only ending I needed. Thank you for watching.